Know your neighborhood, Tyler Park. I usually catch a lot of guff from downtown residents that claim their part of North Bergen is often overlooked. Today I changed that by taking a look at the historic Tyler Park section, a long-forgotten neighborhood with a rich history. The area known as Tyler Park is the southernmost section of town, starting at its northern border on 14th Street and extending south to Secaucus Road, the border with Jersey City, and bound by Kennedy Boulevard and Tunnelly Avenue. But where does the name come from? And more importantly, when did we stop calling that neighborhood Tyler Park? The name Tyler Park originates directly from the man who laid out the streets, Phineas L. Tyler. Tyler was a land developer and entrepreneur from Red Hook, New York. He was most likely drawn to Hudson County, as many others were during the post-Civil War era. Cheap land. Tyler Park may be named for Mr. Tyler, but he did not work alone. He partnered in this suburban development with Mr. Charles Gobish. Gobish was a founding member of the Hudson City Savings Bank, which was the most respected financial institution in the county during its time of operation. Regardless, it is not odd that Mr. Tyler and Mr. Gobish would cross paths. Both were active members in the Hudson County Real Estate Association and eventually worked together in creating the new neighborhood. However, according to records, even though the neighborhood bears Tyler's name, it was Gobish who actually lived there and oversaw the development, division, and sale of property during Tyler Park's formation. The original streets laid out by Tyler and Gobish have only changed by name since the 1870s. Together, the two developers laid out the following streets. First will be the original name of the street, and second will be the present name of the street. Peterson Street, Secaucus Road. Hoboken Street, 6th Street. DeMott Street, 7th Street. Cortlandt Street, 8th Street. Gilly Street, 9th Street. Hamblett Street, 10th Street. Adelina Place, 11th Street. Browning Street, 12th Street. Hill Street, 13th Street. Traffican Street, 14th Street. They also laid out Columbia Avenue, which still remains the name. Germania Avenue, which was changed to Liberty Avenue during World War I, as well as the original Tunnelly Avenue, which was replaced by present-day Tunnelly Avenue. Since its original layout, Bove Terrace was added, 6th and 7th Streets were extended, Tunnelly Avenue expanded, but 2 streets were completely removed. Prior to the reconstruction of Tunnelly Avenue, you could take Tyler or Gorbish Place straight across the train tracks to Secaucus Road. When the state expanded Route 1 and 9, these shortcuts were removed, and the last remaining vestiges of Tyler Park were gone. Now, the goal of this series is to expand our knowledge of a neighborhood's history, and Tyler Park has plenty of that. However, recently there has been one resident of Tyler Park brought to my attention that needed to be recognized. An athlete that may be North Bergen's greatest athlete. Now, I know what you're thinking. That is a bold statement to make. Each and every North Bergener can name an athlete that defines North Bergen sports to them. However, the name Albert Blosius doesn't remind residents of sport greatness, as most have never heard of him or his natural abilities. A true athlete, and though not born in North Bergen, he called it home from a very young age until his untimely death defending the world against tyranny. Al Blosius was, lack for a better word, a monster. By the time he was in high school, he stood a towering 6'6.5". Just for reference, in 1935, when the average male height was roughly 5'7". Blosius graduated from Jefferson School, which was replaced by Kennedy School. Blosius did not attend high school in North Bergen, as NBHS wasn't built until 1961. Instead, the 14th Street kid was supposed to go to Emerson High School in West Hoboken, Union City. However, Blosius was recruited by Dickinson's Hilltoppers legendary coach, Charlie Wachowski. Blosius played on some legendary 1930s Dickinson teams, but what makes his tenure there most interesting is that Blosius is rumored to have walked to and from school every day, 6 miles round trip or an hour each way. Blosius was a star on the football field, but his true talents were displayed during track and field events. Blosius held national records in both the shot put and discus throw. His natural ability was undeniable. He played college ball as well as continuing his successes in track and field events at Georgetown University. There he continued to dominate, setting a shot put record that stood for several decades, putting a ball nearly 56 feet. After his college career, Blosius was drafted by the New York Giants in 1942. He played 3 years as an offensive lineman before volunteering to fight in World War II. Blosius was originally enlisted as a physical instructor. He trained to be an officer and set an Army record throwing a hand grenade 94 yards. Originally, it was his size that kept him out of combat, but Blosius persisted he'd do his part in defeating Hitler. He was sent to France in 1945 with the rank of second lieutenant. After 2 of his men did not return from a recon mission, Blosius went to look for them. He never returned. His death was officially confirmed a short time after his disappearance, and he was buried in the Lorraine American Cemetery and Memorial in Saint-Avold, Moselle. Today, the memory of Albert Blonsky is long gone. The Giants retired number 32 in 1945. He was immortalized as the Human Howitzer by True Comics in 1946. Throughout Hudson County, there were several youth sport leagues that memorialized the Blonsky name. But much like Tyler Park, the kid from 14th Street, the sports icon for his generation, slipped into the cracks of history only to be remembered in select sports circles. Today, the childhood home of Blonsky, 1201 14th Street, is still resided in most likely by residents unbeknownst to the legend of Blonsky and the history of Tyler Park. The neighborhood lost its identity during the 1950s as the old-timers left. Today, the only remnants of Tyler Park reside at 609 Kennedy Boulevard, but only in name. The Tyler Park Postal Substation is the last remaining vestige of Tyler Park. The residents have come and gone, and will always continue to do so, only adding to the history of Tyler Park. The landmarks from the turn of the century are gone, being replaced by newer ones today. Today, Coach House Diner, an iconic North Bergen eatery, is a staple in the community as well as the township. A real old-school deli, Leo's, still acts as a cornerstone of the neighborhood, and a place where you can get prosciutto with fresh mutts, mozzarella, roasted peppers, oil, vinegar with mayo on Italian bread, and it's simply delicious. Other restaurants such as La Fusta, Tiana Lounge, and Latin Barbecue continue to showcase the ethnic diversity in the area. Tyler Park has changed greatly since its founding in 1870, but it would be no surprise to Phineas Tyler and Charles Gobish to see that their park has flourished into one of North Bergen's most up-and-coming neighborhoods.